I want to start with a question. Have you ever felt alone? Not just physically alone, but truly disconnected? Like no one understands you, like you don't belong. There's a woman out there, maybe you know her, maybe you are her, who walks through life without a circle of friends. Society tells us that friendship is a measure of worth, that having a big social circle means you're valuable. But what if I told you that being alone doesn't mean you're weak? What if I told you that some of the strongest, most resilient, and most purpose-driven people in history walked a lonely road? Because the truth is, friendship is not the measure of strength. Purpose is. And when you have a deep sense of who you are, why you do what you do, let's talk about what it means to be a woman with no friends, and why that might just be your greatest strength. We often associate loneliness with weakness, as if being alone is a sign of failure or inadequacy. But the truth is, some of the strongest people in history have spent long periods in solitude, not because they were weak, but because they were growing. Solitude isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. It's in those moments of isolation that we truly discover who we are, what we believe, and what we're capable of. When we are constantly surrounded by others, their voices, opinions, and expectations can drown out our own. We begin to shape ourselves based on what society tells us we should be, rather than who we actually are. But in solitude, there is no noise, no distractions, no pressure to conform. There is only you and your thoughts. And in that space, real strength is built. You learn to rely on yourself, to trust your own instincts, and to become comfortable with your own company. Some of the greatest leaders, thinkers, and visionaries have spoken about the power of solitude. They understood that to develop clarity, resilience, and vision, one must be willing to stand alone. It takes courage to sit in silence, to face your fears, and to navigate the uncertainty of being on your own. But it's in that silence that confidence is forged. Many people fear loneliness because they believe it means they are unloved or unworthy. But solitude is not the absence of connection, it is the presence of self. When you are truly at peace with who you are, being alone no longer feels like a punishment, it feels like a privilege. It is a time for self-reflection, for growth, and for becoming the kind of person who doesn't need validation from others to know their worth. We live in a world that glorifies popularity. The number of friends you have, the invitations you receive, and the attention you get are often seen as measures of success. But real strength doesn't come from being liked. It comes from having a purpose. When you know your why, you stop seeking approval and start walking a path that aligns with your values. Many people surround themselves with friends not because of deep connection, but because they fear being alone. They crave validation, using social interactions as a way to escape their own thoughts. But a woman with purpose doesn't need a crowd to feel whole. She understands that chasing popularity is a distraction from what truly matters. It's easy to be swayed by the opinions of others, to change yourself in order to fit in. But when you live with purpose, you stop bending to fit expectations. Instead, you stand firm in your beliefs, even if that means standing alone. Having a strong sense of purpose means you don't need constant reassurance from others. You don't rely on external validation to feel worthy. Your direction in life isn't determined by trends, opinions, or the desire to be liked. It is shaped by something deeper. Your mission, your values, your vision for the future. And that kind of clarity is rare. When you focus on your purpose, the right people will naturally align with you. You won't need to chase friendships or force connections. The people who truly resonate with your mission will find you. And if your purpose leads you to walk alone for a while, that's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you're on a path meant for those who are strong enough to walk it. There is an unmatched power in being self-reliant. When you learn to depend on yourself, you cultivate a deep sense of confidence that isn't shaken by the absence of friends or external validation. Many people seek comfort in the opinions and support of others, but when you rely solely on that, you give away your power. True confidence is built when you realize that you are enough. Your thoughts, your decisions, your presence, Being alone forces you to develop skills that others might take for granted. You learn how to make decisions without seeking approval, how to solve problems without leaning on someone else, and how to navigate life's challenges with your own strength. This independence doesn't mean you reject connection, it means you don't need it to feel whole. There's a difference between wanting companionship and being dependent on it. The latter creates insecurity, while the former comes from a place of strength. Confidence isn't something given to you by others, it's something you build within yourself. And solitude gives you the space to do that. When there's no one around to validate you, you are forced to validate yourself. You start to trust your own intuition, to embrace your individuality, and to recognize that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. That kind of self-assurance is rare, and it sets you apart. Many people fear solitude because they associate it with weakness. But the opposite is true. The strongest individuals are those who can stand on their own, who don't shrink in the absence of company, and who understand that their value isn't determined by how many people surround them. Confidence built in solitude is unshakable. It is a quiet, powerful force that carries you forward no matter who walks beside you. In a world that often values numbers over depth, it's easy to believe that having a large social circle is a sign of success. But true connection isn't measured by how many people are in your life. It's measured by the depth of the relationships you cultivate. 100 acquaintances will never compare to one genuine friendship built on trust, understanding, and mutual respect. Many people surround themselves with others out of fear of being alone, but quantity does not equal quality. Superficial connections can leave you feeling lonelier than solitude itself. There's a difference between being in a crowded room and truly being seen, heard, and understood. When you prioritize depth over numbers, you stop chasing fleeting interactions and start seeking relationships that truly matter. A woman who values quality over quantity doesn't settle for surface-level friendships. She understands that not everyone deserves access to her time, energy, and emotions. She chooses people who uplift, inspire, and support her growth, rather than those who simply fill space. This selectivity isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. It's recognizing that your time and energy are valuable and should be shared with those who truly appreciate them. True friendships are built on authenticity, not convenience. They withstand distance, time, and challenges. They don't require constant validation or forced effort. And when you focus on cultivating meaningful connections rather than collecting people, you create relationships that add real value to your life. It takes strength to walk alone, rather than settle for shallow company. But when you do, you create space for relationships that are built on something real. Connections that don't just fill your time, but also feed your soul. In a world filled with distractions, silence is often uncomfortable. Many people surround themselves with noise, constant conversations, social media, endless entertainment, because they fear being alone with their own thoughts. But solitude isn't something to escape, but it's an opportunity to grow. It is in silence that true self-awareness is developed. When you spend time alone, you begin to understand yourself in ways that aren't possible when you're constantly influenced by others. You start to recognize your true desires separate from what society or your peers expect from you. You become more in tune with your emotions, your strengths, and the areas where you need to grow. Without external opinions clouding your mind, you gain clarity about who you really are. Self-awareness is the foundation of confidence and purpose. When you truly know yourself, you make decisions that align with your values instead of trying to fit into a mold. You no longer seek approval because you trust your own judgment. You no longer feel the need to conform because you understand your uniqueness is your greatest strength. This kind of clarity only comes from spending time in solitude. Many people avoid silence because it forces them to confront their fears, doubts, and insecurities, but facing them is the only way to overcome them. A woman who embraces solitude doesn't fear the quiet. She uses it as a tool for reflection, growth, and self-discovery. She understands that true power comes not from external validation, but from inner clarity. When you sit with yourself in silence, you begin to see yourself clearly. You realize what truly matters to you, what drives you, and what no longer serves you. And once you develop that level of self-awareness, you become unshakable. Because no amount of external noise can disrupt a person who truly knows who she is. Resilience is not built in comfort. It is not developed in the presence of constant reassurance or a large support system. True resilience grows in isolation, in the moments when you have no one to lean on but yourself. When a woman learns to navigate life's challenges alone, she discovers a strength within her that many never tap into. There's something powerful about standing on your own when life gets tough. Many people look outward for solutions, seeking advice, validation, or support. But a woman who has walked alone knows that strength is not found in how many people are around to help. It is found in her ability to push through, even when no one is watching. Hardship becomes her teacher, and every struggle refines her into someone even stronger. Isolation forces you to become your own source of motivation. There's no one to tell you to keep going, no one to pick you up when you fall. You learn to rely on yourself, to find your own reasons to keep pushing forward. And that kind of resilience is rare. It means you are not easily broken, not easily swayed by obstacles, and not dependent on external encouragement to persevere. The strongest people in history did not rise because they had an easy path. They rose because they endured difficulties, often alone. They learned to turn solitude into strength, setbacks into wisdom, and challenges into fuel. A woman who has faced life alone does not crumble under pressure. She does not fall apart when things don't go her way. She knows that resilience is not given, it is earned. And when she walks through life with that unshakable inner strength, there is nothing she cannot overcome. Not everyone will understand you, and that's okay. The way you think, the way you move through life, the choices you make, these things won't always make sense to the people around you. And for many, that can be an isolating realization. But the truth is, being misunderstood is often a sign that you are walking your own path, rather than following the crowd. Many women feel pressure to conform, to fit into expectations that were never designed for them. They shrink themselves, dim their light, and soften their voices just to be accepted. But a woman who refuses to conform will always stand apart. She will be questioned, doubted, and sometimes even criticized, simply because she chooses authenticity over approval. The world is often uncomfortable with those who challenge norms. When you prioritize growth over comfort, ambition over complacency, and truth over convenience, you will naturally attract resistance. Some people won't understand your choices because they don't have the same vision, the same hunger, or the same willingness to evolve. They see the world, but being misunderstood is not a weakness. It is a testament to your individuality. It means you are not afraid to think for yourself, to make decisions based on your own values rather than the expectations of others. It means you are willing to stand alone rather than blend into a world that does not align with who you are. It is a lonely road at times, but it is also a powerful one. Because when you stop seeking to be understood and start focusing on staying true to yourself, you become unstoppable. Independence is power. The woman who stands on her own, who does not rely on external validation or constant companionship, carries a strength that is rare. Society often equates a full social life with success, as if being surrounded by people somehow makes a person more valuable. But true power comes from knowing that your worth is not defined by the presence or absence of others. It is something you own. There is freedom in not depending on anyone for your happiness, your confidence, or your sense of self. When you are independent, you make decisions based on what is right for you, not based on what will keep others around. You move through life with certainty because you are not waiting for permission, approval, or reassurance. A woman who embraces independence does not fear solitude. She thrives in it. She knows that being alone is not a sign of lack, but a sign of strength. It means she is self-sufficient, emotionally resilient, and mentally strong. She does not settle for relationships, friendships, or environments that do not serve her just for the sake of company. Instead, she builds a life that aligns with her values and allows the right people to naturally come into it. Independence does not mean rejecting connection. It means not needing it to feel whole. It is the ability to stand tall, to trust yourself, and to move forward with confidence regardless of who is or isn't by your side. And when a woman owns her independence, she becomes unstoppable, because her power is no longer borrowed from anyone else. It is entirely her own. When you find yourself without friends, it's easy to feel like something is missing. But the truth is, the most important relationship you can have is the one with yourself. If you want meaningful connections with others, you must first be the kind of friend you seek. This starts with being kind to yourself, honoring your own needs, and offering yourself the same love and support that you would give to someone you care about. Too often we look outside of ourselves for validation, love, and support. We place the responsibility of our happiness on others, hoping they will fulfill the voids we feel inside. But true fulfillment begins with self-love. When you learn to appreciate yourself, your strengths, your flaws, and everything in between, you build a solid foundation of self-worth that no one can take away. This inner confidence allows you to be your authentic self, without fear of rejection. Being the friend you seek means showing up for yourself, especially when times are tough. It means recognizing your own value, taking care of your mental and emotional well-being, and not waiting for others to fill the gaps in your life. It means setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and putting your own needs first without guilt. When you become your own best friend, you attract people who will treat you with the same level of respect and care. You stop settling for relationships that drain you or make you feel less than. You recognize that the right people will come into your life when you are strong enough to stand on your own and secure enough to let them in on your terms. The friendship you offer yourself becomes the standard by which all other relationships are measured. And when you learn to love yourself fully, you no longer feel incomplete. You feel whole. When you walk a path of purpose, the right people will naturally find you. It's easy to become discouraged when you feel like you're walking alone, especially when the world around you emphasizes the importance of social circles. But when you focus on your mission, on the things that drive you, the connections you need will come, not because you've chased them, but because you've become the person who attracts them. Too often people try to force friendships or relationships, desperately seeking validation or a sense of belonging. But when you walk in purpose, you stop seeking approval and start radiating confidence. You stop looking outward for direction and begin to live authentically. The people who align with your energy, your values, and your vision will naturally gravitate toward you. Purpose is magnetic. When you are clear about who you are and what you stand for, it becomes evident to others. You attract those who share your passions, your mindset, and your ambitions. And these connections are different. They are deeper, more meaningful. It's important to remember that your journey isn't about filling the spaces around you with people. It's about filling your life with purpose. When you do that, the right people will appear, not because you needed them, but because they are meant to be there. The people who will support, challenge, and grow with you will find you when you are truly walking in your purpose. So, trust the process. You don't need to chase after friendships or force connections. When you stay true to who you are, the right tribe will naturally align with you. In the end, being a woman with no friends is not a mark of failure, but a sign of strength, self-reliance, and purpose. It's a testament to the fact that you are not defined by the number of people around you, but by the clarity of your mission and the depth of your own self-awareness. Solitude is not something to fear. It is the space in which we grow, evolve, and discover our truest selves. When you embrace your independence, when you trust your own journey, you will find that the right people will naturally align with you. Your value is not tied to how many friends you have or how much attention you receive. It's found in your unwavering confidence, your sense of purpose, and the way you show up for yourself. And remember, the strongest women are often those who walk alone for a while. They are the ones who build resilience in isolation, who find their own way, and who ultimately attract the connections that truly matter. It's not about filling your life with people, it's about filling it with purpose. When you do that, everything else falls into place. So embrace your path, trust your journey, and know that your worth is not determined by anyone else but you. You are enough exactly as you are.